So the last racing action of a truly action-packed weekend. It's the GT Sports Club main race. We had the qualifying race this morning, over 25 minutes. This one will be 40 minutes of race action. Cars already assembling down on the grid. 22 cars forming a mouth-watering selection of cars. Track temperature has risen steadily through the course today, now 40.5, and the humidity has risen from 32% up 10% to 42% for this afternoon feature race. Air temperature 26.4, that's manageable, but certainly the higher temperatures on the track will give these tyres much more of a workout than they had in the shorter race this morning. Going around to grid there, number 54, that's Michael Luzik, who got a bit caught out on the final lap of the qualifying race and will be starting down at the tail end of the field, and certainly with a lot to do. But the driver who dominated this morning, Stefano Pezzucchi, Krypton Motorsport Porsche, set the pace in qualifying, set the pace and won the qualifying race. But now, of course, that was only to set the grid positions for this, the main race here, bringing this huge meeting at Paul Ricard to a close. We had the 6-hour endurance race of the Blancpain Endurance Series last night, finishing at 11 o'clock. It couldn't feel more different then to how it does now. Conditions very hot, getting increasingly humid, but still great conditions in which to go racing. This race, of course, for gentlemen drivers, and it comes in two classes. You have the main class and you have the Iron Cup for those aged 60 and above, and Martin Lanting won that class this morning, finishing a very creditable 4th place overall, so he'll be delighted, along with the AF Corsa team, with that result. Just see the number 8 Ferrari coming up at the back of the grid there. That is Cedric Mezard, number 8, entered by Scuderia Villorba, and he had a really good race this morning. The blue Porsche at the back, always in the action. Every time he looked on screen, Jürgen Hering in that blue Attempter Racing Porsche was having a battle, most notably with the TDS Racing BMW Z4, driven by Claude-Yves Gosselin. There on the front row of the grid on pole position, that's the side away from the pit wall, is the number 35 Porsche, Krypton Motorsport entry. Stefano Pezzucchi really has this race in the palm of his hand. It is over 40 minutes, however, and of course he'll have to keep it on the black stuff through the course of that distance. But this morning he looked untroubled, and certainly Porsche showed very well. First, third, and Jürgen Hering finishing in 7th place. So very, very good for the cars down from Germany there. Jürgen Hering, Attempter Racing. Car looks fantastic with the bright light on that metallic blue race livery. So for these gentlemen drivers, they had to have a light lunch after the main race, the feature qualifying race this morning, and now for the main race they can have their focus, and then they can enjoy some champagne afterwards, hopefully for some of them, up on the podium. They had the gentleman's agreement earlier: do not spray us. We don't want our suits smelling of feeling sticky and covered in champagne before we go out for the feature race now, the 40-minute blast to bring proceedings to a close. So Ferrari on the front row, on the pit wall side, that's Cedric Mezard, who was at 2nd this morning in the number 8 Villorba course entry. But there is our pole man, Stefano Pezzucchi, the black Porsche with the red flutings on it, and Pezzucchi on the rear windscreen. Doors open, it is hot, as we say down there. Drivers trying to keep their cool as long as they can. The race will start at 5 minutes past 3. Cedric Mezard, Scuderia Villorba course on the front row, number 8. He had to work his way up the order a little bit, got past Martin Lanting at a very good move, and then held on to 2nd place. Was challenged for a lot of that time by the Porsche that will be starting from 3rd on the grid. You'll see that in a second, and that will be Roland Burville for Pro GT by Almaras. There it is, the white and green Porsche that will be starting 3rd on the grid, just slightly nose ahead of the Iron Cup winner, which is Martin Lanting in the 48 Ferrari. Then a pair of Ferraris behind, 10 and 42. That's Maurice Ritchie and 42 Patrick Van Glabica. There's the TDS Racing Claude-Yves Gosselin driven BMW on the left, and on the right of your screen Jürgen Hering, who fought so hard with him. And then we've got a couple of cars missing just at the moment, but the number 12 WT RT Audi Jean-Michel Baer, he had a good run the first part of the race. Look out for that black Ferrari, number 23, driven by Massimiliano Bianchi. He was up in that group fighting over 2nd place, had a spin and lost a lot of ground. Stefan Rattel's Aston Martin on the left-hand side. 95 Lamborghini on the right, another Belgian driver, Thierry Verstraete, and then a couple of McLarens down towards the back end of the grid, the 650S proving such a strong car in its maiden season. And bringing up the rear, car number 52, which is the Ferrari of Mario Cordoni. That had to make an unscheduled pit stop, therefore fell to the tail of the order. 22nd on the grid for Mario Cordoni. Green flag wave, the drivers going around on their formation lap. Of course, they'll be having a rolling start when they get back round at the end of this 5.842 kilometre lap. It's very twisty in places, and in the formation we have at the moment, the designation of the circuit includes a chicane down at the Mistral Straight. It cuts it in half. They turn left, they turn right, left again, and then up the gentle slope to Senior. At the moment, you can see the cars weaving very slightly as they work their way under the bridge and down to the first corner. A very slight rise as they go into the first corner. And then it drops slightly into turn 2. The left turns to a right and then down a dip. Then we go towards the chicane, known also as a Virage de l'Hôtel, which is a right-left combination. And then we go around the sequence of corners at the far end of the lap. You can see them going down from 2 towards the chicane, which is turn 3. A slight arcing left there, and the trademark painted area off the circuit. Very wide runoff here at Paul Ricard. We do have cars going onto it, but I must say in the qualifying race this morning, the drivers very gentlemanly indeed, and they stayed on the black stuff. So here is the starting order. Stefano Pezzucchi in the black Porsche on pole position. Cedric Mézard starting alongside in the red number 8 Ferrari. Roland Berville, the white and green Porsche from third. That's number 34. Martin Lanting, the Iron Cup winner, 4th place overall in his Ferrari. That's could be differentiated from Mézard. It has a white stripe up the bonnet. Then Maurice Ritchie and Patrick van Glabecker, 2 more Ferraris on row 3. Jürgen Hering in the third of the Porsches, alongside Claude-Yves Gosselin starting 8th in the number 21 BMW Z4. Then we have Audis in filling the 5th row, and then Massimiliano Bianchi. Look out for him. He is down in 11th place in his black number 23 Ferrari. And SRO boss Stefan Rattel will be starting his Aston Martin from 16th on the grid, just 1 row behind the fellow car from the SRO Race Centre, the other Aston Martin of Michel Mitharian. So the green flags are waving as the drivers go up the first part of the Mistral Straight, and there are the 2 Aston Martins from the SRO Race Centre in this race for gentlemen drivers. Not only gentlemen, but also Natalia Fridina in the number 55 Attempto Racing McLaren. She is down 1 row off the back of the grid, but these 650S is proving very, very nimble out around the circuit. There's a fabulous view from Signe at the end of the Mistral Straight, looking back down to the cars, snaking away as they get behind the pace car as they get some heat into their tyres. They're coming, the last of the field, just coming out of the chicane, and that's Mario Cordoni at the back in the number 52 Ferrari, just again getting heat into their tyres, desperate to have as much grip as possible for that charge. Accelerating out of the final corner, waiting for the lights to turn from red to green on the starting gantry, and where they really need the grip is not just to accelerate away, but to negotiate the left and right, the first 2 corners. The crowd's ready to lap up yet more action in what's been a weekend of continuous, absolutely level, top level sports car racing, GT racing here at the circuit Paul Ricard. The drivers loving the weather, loving the circuit, and we're loving the racing action. But the big question, can anybody do anything to stop the driver in that 35 Porsche on pole position? Stefano Pezzucchi. The field now starting to bunch up. Of course, they have to run side by side in the 2 columns of cars, if you will. Should be 2 columns of 11. They've got about 3 more corners to negotiate before they'll come out of the final corner, Virage du Pont, and the drivers will should all be in grid position, should all be looking up at the lights on the starting gantry. And once those turn from red to green, racing will be underway. 40 minutes for the GT Sports Club. Who's it going to be? You'd have to say all the clever money is going on Stefano Pezzucchi in the 35. Oh, we've got number 9 Ferrari just trickling down the pit lane. That is Gabriel Balthazar, who was 3rd in the Iron Cup this morning. He should have been starting from 12th on the grid, but pit start for him. Well, it's a 40-minute race. I'm sure he'll be able to work his way at least part way back up the order. So waiting at pit exit. In fact, there are 2 cars. There's a Porsche, there's an Audi as well. It looks as though it's one of the Santalot Racing Audis. It could be Marc Saur, could be Michel Blanchemin. I'll work that out in a moment. But they're sitting at pit exit. The lights are red on the starting gantry. The field coming round in nice tidy order. The black Mercedes running a little bit wide at the final corner, waiting for the red to turn to green, and green it becomes. A great start from Martin Lanting, trying to go around Cedric Mézard. It looks as though it wasn't the best start from pole position. Jürgen Herring up the inside. Sorry to dreadful pun. 3 Porsche to the right-hand side of your screen, but the black and red one, the pole starter, will take first position, but Jürgen Herring up about 2 rows he gained, so it's Cedric Mezard in second place behind Pizzucchi, but a brilliant start from... we've got a couple of little spinners at the back, unfortunately. The number 12 Audi among those. That's Jean-Michel Baer, who finished in the top 10. Can't identify the Ferrari as yet, so those behind said thank you very much and have gained a few positions. But the flying starts, I mean, what an amazing anticipation from Jürgen Herring in the blue Porsche. And looks like it's Michael Luzik, who was caught in an accident in the first race. I think that was his Ferrari, stuck on the circuit at turn 2. That's the corner where traditionally you get trouble. People tend to get through turn 1, and Stefan Rattel has already picked off his teammate. He's gone past Michel Matarian, so that is number 54. Yes, indeed, it is poor Michael Luzik, the American driver, so that hasn't been the greatest of starts for him. Hopefully he can get the engine fired up again and continue on his way, and certainly will need to get on his way because he's... Yes, he has. That is good news because the leaders are half a lap away and would have found his car in the circuit. So Mkhitaryan will get nearly 40 minutes of racing, but the person who's leading the race, no great surprise. He's been the form driver all meeting, Stefano Pizzucchi, but Cedric Mezard not a million miles behind, and Jürgen Herring, after that remarkable start, up into third place ahead of Martin Lanting. Very nice and tidy. One of the McLarens has gained a huge number of places. I think it should be Nico Pronk in the number 76. I'll check that for you in a second, but really good. And there is, there's the 76. So that started way down. I don't know if there were problems earlier, but Nico Pronk's in the Cox Racing silver and red 650S doing a great job on the opening lap. Number 10, Maurice Ritchie, he was right at the sharp end in the first part of the race, and he's again up at the sharp end in the top 10 on this, the opening lap of the GT Sports Club finale here at the Circuit Paul Ricard. Not such a great run for car 21, which is the Claude-Yves Gosselin BMW. That was far better placed in the qualifying race. So, starting the second lap, the first flying lap completed. 0.9 of a second is the gap between Pizzucchi and Cedric Mezard. Jürgen Herring in third place, just another 0.6 of a second down. Martin Lanting fourth, Roland Burville fifth. And I said to watch out for Bianchi. He's up to 6th place. That's the number 23 Kessel Racing Ferrari, the black one, very quick in the first one and dropped out. And look, from the very tail of the grid, the number 52 Mario Cordoni AF Corsa Ferrari, picking up places left, right and centre. He dropped out from mid-order in the first race. He's nearly got back there already in the second race, so fabulous opening lap from him. Up to 12th place, he's just taken 11th, so he's gained half the field on the first lap alone. And there he is, number 52, Mario Cordoni. Let's see how far he can advance. He's got the McLaren just ahead of him with Nico Pronk in 9th place. In fact, I think he's just dropped back to 10th because I think Claude-Yves Gosselin has got past him. And there's Stefan Rattel having a nibble at the back of the number 55 McLaren, driven by Natalia Fridina, the Russian lady, and let's see how he fares. And it's worth stressing that the 650S is as modern as can be, but Stefan Rattel is driving with a gear stick, a much older Aston Martin, but trying to slip out of the slipstream as they run up towards the chicane. How good is he on the brakes? We'll find out as they go up to the midpoint on the Mistral Straight. I don't think he's close enough to make a move, and nor does Stefan, so he backs out in the 6 Aston Martin, tucks in behind the McLaren. Will try and find another place to pass further around the lap. Interestingly, the opening lap, 0.9 of a second was the gap between Pizzucchi and Mezard. But Mezard, look, he's pulled right on the tail. The timing screen tells the story. The images tell the story. He set the fastest first sector of a lap, the first third of a lap, if you will, the fastest second sector of the lap, and now he's definitely not 0.9 of a second down behind Stefano Pizzucchi. This is the longer race. Perhaps Stefano is saving his tyres. He knows it's a 40-minute race, not a 25-minute blast as the first one was, but certainly Mezard has picked up the pace and closed right in. Is our race leader just being cautious and trying to get his tyres up to proper temperature before attacking so that he can save their tyre life, or is Cedric Mezard really stepping up to the plate? But then as we came through the final corner, better acceleration out of it from the Porsche race leader Stefano Pizzucchi, out to 0.774 or down to 0.774, but the gap had really concertinaed. Now it's going out again. Maybe it's just at certain points on the circuit where the Porsche has an advantage. And now look at the pack behind, so thick, the action, the 2 Aston Martins in there, a McLaren, a Ferrari and an Audi, all in the absolute thick of the battle. And number 9 that started from pit lane, that is Gabriel Balthazar, picking his way up the order. He diving past a couple more, so places gained by Gabriel Balthazar. We certainly expect him to be nearer the front in his ACA ASP Ferrari, run by the family team. Now that 76 McLaren that was going so well, yes indeed, Gosselin did get past it last time around. Nico Pronk has now got to watch out because Mario Cordoni in the blue, yellow and white Ferrari that started stone last in 22nd position, up to 10th place, up to 11th place, I beg your pardon, and now pushing for 10th. Now it looks on this lap as though our race leader Stefano Pizzucchi has got the hammer down again and is starting to escape, or is he? From Cedric Mezar. Yes, indeed, the first sector of this lap, a new best sector in the first sector. The first third of the lap for Pizzucchi, a new best sector in the second sector of the lap. That's clearly the point at which the Ferrari has an advantage by Cedric Mezar as he gives chase. And they're just starting to creep away from the super fast starting Jürgen Hering. So the first two have made good their break, but Stefano Pizzucchi, it looks that he wasn't going to have to work any harder than he did in the first race when he had everything under control. But Cedric Mezar is absolutely mesmerising in the way that he finds in the middle section of the lap the ability to get right onto the tail. But now in the final section of the lap, we're just going through the sweep, but in fact just look how close it was versus how close it is, because the Porsche is just edging clear again. So at certain points the Krypton Porsche has an advantage. He has brilliant acceleration out of the final corner, and as you can see, Cedric Mezar wasn't able to put the power down as soon as he wanted because he'd run very wide out over the curves. Then the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th behind Jürgen Hering. Martin Lanting hanging on, still leading the Iron Cup. Roland Burville in the white and green Porsche in behind him, and then Massimiliano Bianchi right with him. Those three could be covered by a blanket. 4th, 5th and 6th, very close indeed. So, as you can see, the BMW and now the Ferrari and then the McLaren. So Mario Cordoni in number 52 Ferrari has picked his way up to 10th. And after that brilliant start by Nico Pronk, he's now falling back very slightly in 11th place in the 76 McLaren. Claude-Yves Gosselin, a man who's enjoyed his racing over many, many decades. Second generation racer, his father very much involved with the sport back in the 1960s, but well, he's left the door open just enough and didn't really expect Mario Cordoni to make it, and then went wide, and Nico Pronk didn't need any second invitation. He decided the door's still slightly ajar, I'm coming through as well. Here's this wonderful battle for 3rd place, however. Jürgen Hering jumped about 4 positions on the run to the first corner and is able to hang on there. Now the question is he holding up Martin Lanting? I think not. He was 1.3 seconds clear on at the start of the lap, and I don't think Lanting in the Ferrari in the background there is close enough to make a move on Jürgen Hering. He's not holding him up, but certainly right behind Roland Burville in the white and green Porsche, also keeping Lanting honest, and then Massimiliano Bianchi in the black Ferrari running slightly wide there, definitely in the hunt as well. You're looking at 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th places in a super competitive race, but the lead battle, well, I didn't expect to see it at all. I really thought that would be all the way of Pizzucchi, but he's having to fight Cedric Mezar pushing hard. And then back in 7th place we got Maurice Ritchie. You could just see his red ACA ASP Ferrari in the background there, giving chase, seeing if he can get onto the tail of that battle. Now here we are yet again, coming around to complete another lap. Still more than half an hour of this race remaining, and again a much cleaner exit from the final corner from Stefano Pizzucchi in the Porsche, and then a more flamboyant exit from the second Porsche in the race. That's the one with Jürgen Hering in 3rd place. 1.46 seconds between 1st and 2nd, really not going out by a great deal at all, but every fraction counts. And there you can see the Maurice Ritchie car going through the final corner, then Bianchi, and then behind them you have this long run of cars with Mario Cordoni picking his way through. He has just got past Nico Pronk, etc., and Gosselin, after that mistake on the last lap, falls down to 11th place. Now let's watch Jürgen Hering. What can Martin Lanting do anything about him? Again, getting close is one thing, getting past is quite another. And Porsche looks very well balanced. In fact, able to take a tighter line there was Martin Lanting, but the Porsche seems to be able to get its power, have enough balance to get its power down very well indeed out of the corners, and then pulls away from the tighter corners, and then the Ferrari closes back in again. But unfortunately, one Ferrari that's not closing in anymore appears to be Cedric Mezar in 2nd place in the number 8 Ferrari. Battle for 3rd continues. 56 Porsche, Jürgen Hering still holding off Martin Lanting, but it looks so the first part of this lap is where finally the race-leading Porsche, with the fastest first sector of all, has really broken clear. It was half the distance between the cars last time round. We're just past the 10-minute mark in this race, still half an hour to go, but the gap is really opening out. More than a second has been gained in the first 2/3 of the lap by our race leader. He's obviously decided the tyres are now up to temperature. I can afford to shake Cédric Mézard out of my slipstream, and he's done just that. But second Porsche in the field. The blue one, Jürgen Hering, certainly has not got his mirrors emptying. The cars are no smaller behind him, and Martin Lanting a very tidy line around Dubuisset. That long right-hander that effectively starts turning the cars back towards the start-finish sector of the circuit. Martin Lanting, the Ferrari with the white roof and the white stripe up its bonnet, having to work very hard indeed. Now he seems to be just dropping back slightly from Jürgen Hering's tail, and the reason for that is Roland Berville in the white and green Porsche is giving him a very hard time, attacking from behind. Let's see, through the final corner. Again, I expect to see the Porsches get their power down a little bit better. So they do over the curbs, and Massimiliano Bianchi, again, very flamboyant over the back, and Gabriel Balthazar, Maurice Ritchie, his teammate, starting to close in the number 10 Ferrari in 7th place. That 5-car battle, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. You can see the red Ferrari catching up in the background. Twitch there from Martin Lanting, but he held it very well, kept the power on as he went through the dip at turn 2. Now he's coming down to the chicane. There they go into the chicane. Right, left. Porsche looking well balanced at the front. In fact, the second place car in that group, Martin Lanting, also looking pretty well balanced indeed at this early stage in the race. And Massimiliano Bianco in the black 23 Ferrari can do nothing about them. He's just got to stay with them and see if there are going to be any place changes from which he can benefit. Car 53, that is second in the Iron Cup class, running 12th overall. And that is one of many Belgian racers in the race. That's Louis-Philippe Seunen. And he's being pushed very hard indeed by the car that had to start from the pit lane, which is Gabriel Balthazar. And you really think in terms of the form you'd expect, you see Balthazar get ahead, but he's being contained easily at the moment with no undue driving standards at all. Very nice clean race, but Balthazar will be getting quite hot under the collar as he tries to pick his way past. He's trying to make a move. Did he get a better entry to the Mistral straight? Yes, he certainly seems to, and he's in the right position, slightly behind, but he's in the right position to go up the inside and take that place. Beautifully caught by the camera crews there into the chicane at the middle of the back straight. So number 9 has gained a place. It has only moved him up to 12th overall, but he's now up to 2nd in the Iron Cup, and the leader in that class is running there in the red Ferrari with the white stripe up the nose, with the white and green Porsche right on his tail. That's Martin Lanting, 4th overall, an Iron Cup winner in the opening race, in the qualifying race that was, but again running around in 4th place and well clear in that class for drivers of 60 years and older. Certainly not looking a day over about 30 with this driving style, so goes to prove racing makes you feel young, doesn't it? 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and there the Ferrari at the background in 7th place. They have no answers for Stefano Pizzucchi and Cédric Mézard, who continue to pull clear at the head of this field, but they've got a battle of their own, and this is what they came here to Paul Ricard to do, to go out and drive on this wonderful circuit, but also to enjoy a really good scrap, and they've all being kept on their toes. Jürgen Hering in the opening race was busy from start to finish, and it's no different this time around, except he's defending this time, having made that startling start on the rolling start to gain 4 places, but he's not disgraced, and I'm sure Lanting could lap slightly faster if he was clear of the Porsche, but he's got to find a solution to make that manoeuvre all along, knowing he's got Roland Berville right behind him and Massimiliano Bianchi in the black Kessel Racing Ferrari at the tail of that quartet. And before long, I think we'll see Maurice Ritchie in the 10 Ferrari getting onto their tail as well. He's been able to attack as he pleases, but I think in terms of natural speed he wouldn't quite be with them, but because they're holding each other, and now Bianchi's got a better run onto the back straight, and looks like he's going to pick off Roland Berville's Porsche. Yeah, move done very well indeed. Clearly a better entry to the Mistral straight, and suddenly instead of looking at 6th place, Bianchi is looking at 5th. He's now going to try, he's up to 5th, he's looking at 4th. He's trying to pick off the red Ferrari ahead of him. Martin Lanting, there's a new person attacking his tail as he does all he can to keep up with Jürgen Hering's Porsche, but he's now got a car that will have a similar performance to his own, another Ferrari. It's the black Kessel Racing Ferrari. Massimiliano Bianchi atoning for that spin in the first race that made him start so far down the grid order here, and trying to pick his way up to gain another position. 25 minutes remaining. Jürgen Hering, he's 7.5 seconds, 7.8 seconds back from Cedric Mezar's Ferrari, I beg your pardon, the red Ferrari number 8, but in his Jürgen Hering Porsche, no such advantage over the cars behind, because Martin Lanting less than half a second behind him, and now we've got that change with Massimiliano Bianchi moving up a position ahead of Roland Bourvil. So Bourvil down in 6th in the number 34 Porsche. Let's see if this can change not just the race order, which it has, but also the way that this group composes itself. Bianchi will give him a couple of laps and see if he can get on to the tail of Martin Lanting. At the moment there's a little gap between them, about 3/4 of a second. But now with a bit of clear air, perhaps the black Ferrari can attack. Jürgen Hering, all he can do is defend after that fabulous start. He's only got 24 minutes more of this remaining. But so far, as long as he's not doing any damage to his tyres, he's doing a fantastic job in the Attempter Racing 997 GT3R. Colours of the car nearly seems to match at certain points the colour of the stripes around the outside of the circuit. Slightly darker, but looking fabulous in this Riviera sunshine with its metallic finish. Yeah, I wondered if Maurice Ritchie would be able to catch the tail of this group. I thought they'd delay themselves enough to trip over themselves, if you will, to let him catch up, but they're staying tantalisingly out of reach. Now, is that a move to dive up the inside for a place change? It's being considered, it's been pulled off by Martin Lanting. He then just had enough braking to not go wide on the exit, but then he couldn't get the right-hander part of the corner right, and Jürgen Hering attacks back. Who's in 3rd place? It's very hard to tell as they go up the hill. I can tell you Pazuki's leading from Cedric Mezar, 10 seconds further back. This is the battle as they come up the rise. Is the line compromised? Yeah, well, indeed, it was compromised for the Porsche driver, so Jürgen Hering was attacked. He just held on to 3rd place, but then Martin Lanting got past him on the entrance to the chicane. He fought back, but then getting onto the second part of the Mistral straight, Lanting was in the right position to apply the throttle just that bit earlier than the Porsche driver. So great job from our Iron Cup class leader. Now up into 3rd place. He finished 1st in the qualifying race, but in the feature race, Martin Lanting has come out better. He's come out on top of this battle with Jürgen Hering's Porsche, and now I think he's going to be able to pull clear. He definitely was being delayed by the blue Porsche. So what can Massimiliano Bianchi in the 23 Ferrari do? Right behind he's got Roland Bourvil for company. I think we could have another place change before long. Coming out of the final corner, you see 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th running almost nose to tail, but the important thing is that Martin Lanting has moved the 48 Ferrari run by AF Corsa up into 3rd place overall. Jürgen Hering in the blue Porsche back down to 4th. Then the black Ferrari of Bianchi, the white and green Porsche of Bourvil, and certainly catching them on that lap as they chopped and changed in the background. Now you can see Maurice Ritchie. Yes, he took a couple of seconds out of them as they squabbled in that battle over 3rd place. So he's closing onto the tail now of Roland Bourvil at the back of that group, but I think as long as they don't trip over again. No, he's getting closer and closer. You can just see that red and white Ferrari at the back of this grouping. Wait just half a second, and there it comes, just at the back behind the white and green Porsche. 7th place for Maurice Ritchie, a very good lap for him. In fact, faster than everyone, apart from the first 2 drivers in this race. Still plenty of time for Maurice to make a mark in the number 10 Ferrari, entered by ACA ASP. And look how Martin Lanting, a lap ago, he was coming up this first part of the Mistral straight, trying to pull alongside the blue Porsche. Managed to get not in front of him, but got up the inside, and that gave him the corner into the chicane on the back straight. There was another visual of our race leader Stefano Pizzucci. 5 seconds clear now of the red number 8 Ferrari of Cedric Mezar. Then you have a gap of another 6 or so seconds back to Martin Lanting, the red, white and green Ferrari. Oh, it's a red Ferrari, the green, white and red stripe up the nose. The blue Porsche in 2nd place, or in 2nd place in that group, 4th place overall of Jürgen Hering, and now Bianchi all over the back of him in the black Ferrari, number 23. Entered by Kessel Racing, just dropping off a little bit from that group. Oh, and just diving around the inside of him. What an extraordinary move. Wasn't a wide running moment there from Jürgen Hering, but maybe the tyres now starting to feel the pressure. And suddenly, in the space of a lap and a half, the fast-started Jürgen Hering has lost 2 places. First, he was passed by the red Ferrari of Martin Lanting, and now the black one of Massimiliano Bianchi. And the white and green Porsche, number 34 of Roland Bourvil, he fancies a crack as well. Aston Martin action into the chicane on the back straight, and the 57 Mercedes, entered by HTP Motorsports with Willem Paulus de Pundert, has just managed to stay ahead, but Rattel fighting back and fighting back hard in the number 6 Aston Martin. So here, down into first corner is Bianchi. Right behind is Herring. Right behind him is Rowan Burville. I reckon he's going to go past in the next lap or so in the 34 Porsche. And on the tail of that group, in 7th place, is the number 10 Ferrari of Maurice Ritchie, the French racer. '76, Nico Pronk in the Cox Racing 650S McLaren. He's running in 10th place. He's 4.5 seconds down on the car in 9th, which is the number 42, Patrick Van Klabaker Ferrari. And there is number 9. That is Gabriel Balthazar, 12th overall, 2nd in the Iron Cup rankings at the moment. So seeing a lot of great racing action here. And this time around in the feature race, yes, he's leading, but Stefano Pizzucchi has not had the advantage that he had in the opening race this morning. 21, he's had to work from start to finish. Claude-Yves Gosselin, the only BMW Z4 in the race, and he's holding down 11th position. He lost a few places in the earlier laps, and now he looks so he's about to lose another, because Gabriel Balthazar, he's got the inside line. Can he get the braking done? Yes, enough to get round the corner, but not enough to go ahead of Gosselin. Gosselin holds on to that 11th place, but then a very positive exit back onto the straight there from Gabriel Balthazar, which will be ahead when they come up the rise behind the McLaren up to seed. Is it going to be on the left of your screen? Will it be the BMW, or on the right the Ferrari, and around the outside? Very brave indeed. So there goes Gabriel Balthazar, started from pit exit, caught the tail of the group, and has picked his way up the order very well indeed. So Gosselin has no one behind him. He might as well focus on trying to get past number 9 again. 18 minutes of this race remaining. Well, I wondered if Jürgen Herring would be able to hold on to his position in the blue Porsche. He's doing so at the moment, but certainly Roland Burville is very close indeed in that battle for 5th. I thought it would change on this lap, but in fact, if anything, Herring has opened out the gap again. He's running around behind 4th place Massimiliano Bianchi in the black Ferrari. There's Roland Burville in the white and green Pro GT by Almaraz Porsche, and on the tail of that group he caught it. Now he's going to have to see if he can gain a place or two. Maurice Ritchie in the number 10 ACA ASP Ferrari. You'd have to stay at this stage in the race. It looks though Maurice has kept his tyres by not being involved in scraps, was able to close in as the quartet ahead of him fought, and now I think the car's looking quite sweet form. So let's see what happens in the remaining 17 minutes of this race. He's caught the group now. Can he pick them off? In the pits, unfortunately, we have car number 37, one of the Santaloc Audis. That's Michel Blanchemin. So that's not so good for him, but will he live? He appears to be coming back for some more racing. That's good to see. He's at the bottom of the timing chart, but hopefully whatever it was has been fixed and we can get him back out on the track. It's all about these gentlemen drivers getting track time, enjoying great scraps. Certainly Jürgen Herring, after that brilliant start, has been scrapping from start to finish, but now he's got to keep the white and green Roland Burville driven Porsche behind his blue version, fighting over 5th place. Burville looking very lively indeed. You can hardly see it, but that's because he was right in the slipstream and looking to dive up the inside into Scene. But often the move, you started at Scene, but really where you want to have the advantage is at the next corner. This one here, Dubuisset, but hugging the inside line. But what we've seen before, when Martin Lanting went past, Jürgen Herring really struggled in the second part of the corner, and that's where the red Ferrari number 48 attacked. But this time Herring at least has the answer to the challenge from behind. Roland Burville will have to try and find another place to do it, but I think a lot of places will change in the final 5 laps or so. Certainly those who've used their tyres too hard too soon are going to start suffering. Maurice Ritchie still doing everything he can to get on the tail of this group. He could pick up some scraps yet, running in 7th at the moment, but I reckon he could get into the top 5. But this battle is intriguing between the two Porsches. Now Roland Burville has noticed that Maurice Ritchie is trying to latch onto his tail as he in turn is trying to get a toe down the start straights, past the pits, down to turn 1. It looks like Herring's done enough to at least maintain his position, but Maurice Ritchie right now on the tail of the white and green Porsche there. Gabriel Balthazar right on the tail of Nico Pronk. That's 10th, 9th, 10th and 11th positions. Pronk holding the advantage of the number 9 car. That's 2nd in the Iron Cup with Gabriel Balthazar at the wheel. And right behind him, he's got Claude-Yves Gosselin fighting back in the BMW number 21. That's the Z4 from TDS Racing. Balthazar, big twitchy moment behind Nico Pronk as they come down the slight slope out of turn 2, but he kept his foot in, kept the power down, kept accelerating, but the important thing, he got the balance back. The equilibrium appeared to be sliding away from him, but a good save there, and that would have given a chink of hope not only to the driver in front, Nico Pronk, who may not have noticed it, but certainly to the driver behind, Claude-Yves Gosselin. He can see just how hard Gabriel Balthazar is pushing, and might wonder, is he pushing too hard? Will there be scope for me to steal my position back again? Jürgen Hering continues to really race flat out. That brilliant start from the 4th row on the grid got him up very nicely indeed into 3rd place. He wasn't able to hold on to Stefano Pizzucchi and Cedric Mézard, the Porsche and Ferrari drivers at the front of this field, but he had delayed this group for a while, and sorry, the back marker slightly confused me there. Got between the Bianchi black Ferrari and Jürgen Hering. And now, an attack there from Maurice Ritchie, having a really serious look at trying to get past Roland Berville. Roland starting to run a little bit wide out of Dubuisset. Now he's caught out by the back marker, goes around the outside. They're all going around the outside, so the last of that group. Maurice Ritchie probably had the longest way to run. Anyhow, safely negotiated. No one's really gained a great deal as they work their way past. The tail ender in the pack there. Of course, in sports car racing, you can find all sorts of drivers out ahead of you, and a lot of what you can do can make and break your race is how you tackle your lapping, and that was all done very tidily indeed. That was number 54 Ferrari. That's Michael Lusick, who of course lost half a lap really by spinning right at the start of the race. That's why they were able to lap him. As you can see from that shot, Martin Lanting very safe in 3rd position, 2.1 seconds clear of the black Ferrari of Massimiliano Bianchi. So can he stay there? But he's got that little bit of breathing space. Driver who doesn't have breathing space though is Roland Berville in the white and green Porsche. He's trying to attack the blue Porsche of Jürgen Hering, but in turn he's got Maurice Ritchie right on his tail in the red, white and black ACA ASP number 10 Ferrari, and looking down the inside, and sharp intake of breath, almost a little trading of paint, but just enough braking from Maurice Ritchie. It was a look from which he couldn't back out. That was the trouble into the tight corner Virage du Comp. Good long shot up the Mistral straight, 12.5 minutes remaining. Martin Lanting seems seemingly safe in 3rd place, but the bad news for him is that Bianchi has broke the toe to the Porsches behind him, and they are now going to have their own fight. He is now chasing off after Martin Lanting, and in fact Bianchi's just set his best first sector of the race, so he's picking up his speed. He gained 1/10 of a second on Martin Lanting ahead of him. He's got to gain more than 20 times that. He's 2 and a bit seconds behind, but now he's not having to worry so much about Jürgen Hering. I think we're going to see more fast sectors from the black Ferrari as he gives chase. Gap between 1st and 2nd. There's our race leader, Stefano Pizzucchi. He's now nearly 8.782 seconds clear of Cedric Mézard's Ferrari. Comes around to complete another lap. So tidy over the curbs at Virage du Pont, the final corner of the lap. 48 Ferrari on our screens. That's running in 3rd place, leading the Iron Cup handsomely. Martin Lanting doing a fabulous job in his AF Corsa Ferrari. Oh dear, 37 had been in the pits before. He's back in again. That's Michel Blanchemin. Is that going to be the end of his race? We've nearly reached the half-hour mark in the race. Not quite, but that's the 2nd pit visit, and you shouldn't really be planning any pit visits in this 40-minute race. Now, it's funny how over the last few laps that the order hasn't changed, but what's happened, the gaps between the cars have changed. And there I was saying Bianchi might be closing in on Martin Lanting. Nothing of the sort. Martin had a fantastic end to his lap and actually extended his advantage to 2.5 seconds. But what's happened is Jürgen Hering has finally shaken Roland Berville off his tail. Roland, no doubt, distracted by the attacks from behind from Maurice Ritchie in the number 10 Ferrari. So these cars not so long. Oh, and Berville not only has gone wide, he's gone straight across the chicane. Will rejoin. In fact, he'll rejoin. He's going to have to be gentlemanly. Let those cars. He's gained an advantage by doing that. Effectively cutting out turn 4. He's come onto the track back ahead of Maurice Ritchie, but you do feel he knows that he got a massive advantage. Failed to negotiate turn 3, straight across the checkered area and back onto the circuit. Well, anyhow, he stays for now. Well, he's listed there as being in 7th position, not 6th, so Ritchie is listed as being ahead of Berville. Even though, as we can see, he's behind him out on the circuit. Has to give that place back, I would expect, Anyhow, so the top 7 cars covered by half a minute. That's Berville half a minute down on a race-leading Porsche of Stefano Pezzucchi. And that's good. We've still got the field running around. Top 19 cars all in good order. Still looking at Roland Berville. There's no message come up on screen saying thou shalt return the place, having taken advantage when you had your moment, but for now Maurice Ritchie will just have to continue attacking the driver of the 34 Porsche. So that moment, he'd already had a little moment when he ran slightly wide a lap and a half ago, then that big moment when he was way off at the start of the lap that they're coming up to complete. But Maurice Ritchie must be feeling a little frustrated because he was right behind him, saw the mistake, and by the time they negotiated the following corner, Berville was even further ahead, having rejoined the circuit. But now he's got the Ferrari right under his bumper as they accelerate out of the final corner, down the start-finish straight one more time. But he's not flashing his lights, he's been very gentlemanly. He'd like to pass him on the circuit, but that was a strange moment where Berville had his off and got the position back. So the number 10 Ferrari, despite all this chasing, is still down in 7th place. First to second now, nearly 11 seconds. The screw is being turned. A second on that lap alone was the advantage that Stefano Pezzucchi gained. A second. These drivers, Herring, Berville and Ritchie, a whole second covers them, and that was the distance that was gained in 1 lap alone by our race leader over the 2nd place Ferrari of Cédric Mézard. Beguiling battle this, different points on the lap. Each driver seems to have a slight advantage, but no one can match the speed of the black and red Porsche. Entered by Krypton Motorsport for Stefano Pezzucchi. He won the qualifying race. No trouble at all. It looked super easy for him. He backed off and still had nearly 10 seconds in hand, but driving beautifully this afternoon in the summer sunshine here at the Circuit Paul Ricard. There's Cédric Mézard having a quiet run. He's 11th in 2nd place, 11 seconds down, but 17 seconds clear of Martin Lanting's 3rd place Ferrari. So the Scuderia Viorba course driver, a race out on his own, livened probably by just trying to perfect his lines and picking off back markers when he comes up to lap them. Martin Lanting, he had to fight very hard to get the head of that blue Porsche. He managed to do it, hunted down Jürgen Herring, got clear, and then has been able to open out an advantage. 1.7 seconds he's now clear of the 4th place Massimiliano Bianchi. Another battle that's been raging for quite some while is the one involving Claude-Yves Gosselin. You can see he's the meat in the sandwich. Ahead of him he's got the silver and red McLaren of the Cox Racing example of Nico Pronk. That's 76 coming to the top of the hill. Then behind him, car number 53, another car from AF Corse, Louis-Philippe Cernan, very close behind. So our 3rd place runner, Martin Lanting, starts another lap. He's actually gained a little bit on Cédric Mézard, but it's with just under 7 minutes remaining. He's not going to gain 16 seconds, so I think the positions are fairly safe, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, but well, 3rd maybe not so, because Bianchi has closed in that little bit, a 1/10 of a second gain. The black Ferrari getting closer to Martin Lanting now, so that has changed quite a lot in the past few laps. 2-second gap between Bianchi's black Ferrari and the blue Porsche of Jürgen Herring. So let's just have a look at the progress of Martin Lanting. Yes, he really had quite an advantage over Bianchi. It then stabilised, and now it's being chipped away. So will Lanting end up on the podium again? He'll certainly end up there as the winner of the Iron Cup, but he fancies being there as one of the top 3 runners in this race, and other people looking to make place changes are the 2 Porsche drivers in 5th and 6th positions. That's Jürgen Herring in the blue Porsche, and right behind him and maybe alongside him, but oh, not quite, as they go up to the chicane midway up the Mistral Straight, is Roland Berville. So the Attempto Racing Porsche stays ahead for now of the one entered by Pro GT by Almaraz. Roland Berville, of course, had that big off-track excursion some while ago. He's continued. He's still got the Ferrari behind him and Maurice Ritchie, but he's now fancying a move out on the circuit. 5.5 minutes remaining. Will he be able to find a way past Jürgen Herring? I mean, Jürgen made that absolutely amazing start, gained at least 4 positions into the 1st corner, and almost inevitably, in terms of his natural speed in that car, was going to lose ground a bit. And it looks so in Dubuisset, the blue Porsche was running wide. Not wide enough, however, for Berville to gain behind him. Now, talking of gains, is there a gain for the 23 Ferrari driver? Is he catching Yes, he's taken about 0.4 of a second out of Martin Lanting. There's Martin Lanting in the 48 Ferrari. 5 minutes remaining. Can he hold on to third place overall? You can see the gaps coming down a lot, only by 0.1 of a second last time around, but this time it looks like it's going to be by more than that. So, oh yes, definitely as they come out of the final corner, a little more curb used by the black Ferrari of Massimiliano Bianchi. What's the gap between them? Is it under a second now to 1.46 seconds? So a better end to the lap from Martin Lanting, but certainly the early two-thirds of the lap is where the black Ferrari is starting to claw away at him. Jürgen Hering holding on to 5th place ahead of Roland Bourvil, and behind them Maurice Ritchie. He caught the group, he almost made a move up the inside of Bourvil. Probably should have had the position when Bourvil ran wide 2 or 3 laps ago, but the order hasn't been reinstated in that change of sequence, and so Maurice Ritchie is left just to carry on attacking on the track, and that's why these gentlemen drivers are out there. They're out there to race. They're clearly loving every second of it. And Roland Bourvil, well, he seems to alternate between attacking Jürgen Hering and defending from Maurice Ritchie, so a bit of variety. Nico Pronk continues to have a good race in the 650S, McLaren from Cox Racing, and is being pushed hard by Claude-Yves Gosselin in the 21 BMW behind him. They're both just outside the top 10 because Gabriel Balthazar did manage to pass them several laps ago, and he has since escaped up the road in 10th position. 11th to 12th, it's the McLaren ahead of the BMW you're looking at now. That is Claude-Yves Gosselin in the number 21 entry from TDS Racing. Up the hill, getting closer and closer into seeing that battle for third place. Martin Lanting holding on in 48. Massimiliano Bianchi using slightly less curb, but staying on the circuit, but maybe not gaining any time there. In 4th place, it was 1.4 seconds between them at the start of this lap. If anything, it looks like Bianchi's lost a little bit of pace. Maybe it was the camera angle. Let's see what it's going to be when they come up to the start-finish line. Already Stefano Pizzucchi is onto another lap. He's moved on to his 18th lap and still waiting for the second place runner Cedric Mezar in the number 8 Ferrari to start his. Is the gap going to be out to about 20 seconds? It must be getting towards that. 17.8 seconds is the gap. Now, through Virage Dupont, the final corner of the lap, it was 1.4 seconds between Lanting in 3rd last time and Bianchi in 4th. What will it be this time? Half that, 0.725 of a second, a very good lap. I was worried that Bianchi had lost a little bit of speed through Dubuisset, but he's obviously, it was an illusion. He wasn't losing speed, he was gaining speed, and he's halved the gap between himself and Martin Lanting in 3rd place. And if anything, that little grouping of cars behind is keeping them honest, because Jürgen Hering in the blue Porsche, Roland Bourvil, even though engaged in battle, and Maurice Ritchie just lapping at very, very respectable speed in the class. But Bourvil now, he's got the problem. Ritchie is right on his tail, under 2 minutes until the checkered flag will be shown. So it should be this one and the next one. And Ritchie just wants to do it on the circuit. The tail swinging out a little bit as he got the power down as early as he dared in this battle for 6th place out of turn 4, Virage du Camp. But just couldn't find a way past the white and green Porsche down the Mistral Straight, or we should say up the Mistral Straight. It's a slight incline. They go one more time. Martin Lanting still holding on to 3rd place. 0.7 of a second clear of Massimiliano Bianchi he was at the start of the lap. He doesn't seem to have lost any of that advantage. In the background you'll see the red Ferrari and then the black Ferrari, but the battle behind them for 6th place is way closer. Jürgen Hering holds down 5th, but Bourvil and Ritchie super close. And now in the background you can see that Ritchie's trying to make a move in his Ferrari, obscured as they came up the hill, but still Bourvil holds on with just a minute to go as they go through Seine. You can hardly see Maurice Ritchie's Ferrari. He's so tucked under the rear wing. Now through Dubuisset. This is where the Ferrari seems to have a better line. He's able to take an inside line. Oh, that worked like a dream. And through Dubuisset, fabulous move there from Maurice Ritchie. At last he's clear. Now he's going to try and set about another Porsche. That's the blue one of Jürgen Hering. And if he can get past on this final 2 lap, he will really deserve a spray of bubbly from the podium. But he won't be on the podium, of course. He's not in the Iron Cup class, not old enough for that. But and he's not in the top 3 overall. In fact, Maurice Ritchie now only in 6th place, but he'll be loving this battle through Virage Dupont. Will he get down the power any better than the Porsche ahead of him? No, he won't. So it goes Porsche in 5th, Ferrari in 6th, and that's the meat in the sandwich. There's the Porsche completing the show. Number 34, Roland Bourvil, now down in 7th place. We're on the final lap. And just keeping a check on the gap between first and second, Stefano Pezzucchi, 18.5 seconds clear of Cedric Mézard. And there is our race leader. Cedric Mézard really pushed him in the opening few laps, but then little by little, and then perhaps maybe a lot by a lot, now 3/4 of a second per lap has been gained over the last handful of laps by our race leader. He doesn't have to worry, he's heading for victory, but one driver who does have to worry is Jürgen Hering. This battle for 5th place on the final lap. That super fast start from Jürgen Hering blasted him up to 3rd place. He's lost a couple of positions since to Martin Lanting's Ferrari, to Massimiliano Bianchi's Ferrari, and now is he going to lose out to another Ferrari? Maurice Ritchie really attacking the blue Porsche as they come up the first half of the Mistral straight for the final time. Where's he going to make the move? Not close enough to dive up the inside into the hairpin, but as we've seen, the Porsche's run a little bit wide. Another 1/3 of the lap beyond here at Dubussé. That's where he picked off Roland Berville last time around. If he can get close enough through Seine, the next corner is Dubussé. Martin Lanting 3rd through Seine, 4th Bianchi, and now just about to complete his lap, complete his race. The 19th lap will be completed. A victory in the qualifying race this morning. Started from pole position, was pushed by Cedric Mézard, but a victory by possibly nearly 20 seconds. 18.5 seconds last time around. The 35 Porsche for Krypton Motorsport makes it a very good day's work here in the GT Sports Club at the circuit Paul Ricard. Still waiting for the car in 2nd place, and here it is, Cedric Mézard running on his own in 2nd place, coming around for a welcome podium finish for him there. So it's Pezzucchi first overall, Mézard 20.8 seconds down. Martin Lanting has held on to 3rd place, and right behind him we have Bianchi, picked up some places early on, so Lanting will be delighted with that. He's the Iron Cup winner. Behind him in 4th we have Bianchi in the Black Kessel Racing Ferrari. 5th is just Ritchie. He made it on the final lap. We thought he'd make the move possibly at Dubussé. We didn't see it happen, but it did, out of our sight. So a great finish there from Maurice Ritchie, and up to 5th on the final lap. Hering down to 6th, Berville 7th. And 52, we didn't see much of him after his fast start. Mario Cordoni picked his way up to 8th. 9th and 10th we have car number 42, that was Patrick Van Glabeke, and the final place in the top 10, number 9 Ferrari, charged from the back, Gabriel Balthazar. So what an entertaining race. And just in terms of the Iron Cup, Martin Lanting 3rd overall, 1st in the Iron Cup, 2nd in the Iron Cup was Gabriel Balthazar in 10th place overall, and 3rd in 13th place overall was Louis-Philippe Cernan. 3rd in the Iron Cup, but the race absolutely belonged to the driver of that number 35 Porsche. Stefano Pezzucchi led from start to finish. Only troubled in the early laps as he just preserved his tyres. Looked as though Cedric Mézard was in with the mix, but it was a longer race, and that was a very sensible tactic from Stefano Pezzucchi. He had plenty of tyre life left, and then he started attacking and pulled his way clear. So 2 victories today here at Paul Ricard for Stefano Pezzucchi, for Krypton Motorsport and for Porsche. Job very well done indeed. Martin Lanting 4th this morning and victory in the Iron Cup, 3rd this afternoon and another victory in the Iron Cup. Those other drivers age 16 over again have to step up their challenge, because this man for now has a grip, an iron-like grip on that. But don't forget, the driver who finished 2nd in the Iron Cup class, 10th overall, did start from pit exit. So what a great Blancpain race weekend. Thanks for everyone involved, and we've got the final podium ceremonies to enjoy, and enjoy it we will. There in Parc Fermé is our race winner, Stefano Pezzucchi. You could say it was never in doubt. Over the first 3 laps I did start to question whether Cedric Mézard had found some performance or Pezzucchi had lost some, but he was simply pacing himself, and a very strong run there to victory. Again, looked very cool when he got out this morning. Stefano Pezzucchi might be a little warmer this afternoon. A, the temperature has gone up, and B, the race was 15 minutes longer. But he had it under control. Cedric Mézard Started from second, had a brief period where he thought he might be in with the mix, but then ran a very quiet race, but a very speedy, steady race into second place overall, and making it 2 Ferraris in the top 3. In the background, you can see the number 48 car of Martin Lanting, the winner of the Iron Cup, coming in to complete his day's racing. Some more podium ceremonies to follow, but the bragging rights to this man, giving his head a little rub as he cools down. Stefano Pizzucchi controlled it from start to finish. The other finishers being parked up at the back in the background there, but the honour going to Martin Lanting, displaying the Monegasque flag alongside his name and the Monegasque emblem on the door of his car. In fact, he's even got the red and white checkers around the bottom of his helmet there. He's enjoyed his day's racing. Double thumbs up. Well, we'll give you one of those as well, because great run from Martin. So again, we have Martin's quite the showman, isn't he? He made the most of his first podium ceremony, saluting the other runners in the field who came in behind him, but good job from him there. So 2 Ferraris in the top 3, but Porsche, they came out on top again, thanks to Stefano Pizzucchi and Krypton Motorsport. Cedric Mézard chatting with his crew about what he couldn't do to catch up with, keep up with Stefano Pizzucchi, what he could do to drop those behind. But a good, solid couple of results from Cedric there for Scuderia Viorba Corsa, and they would all have enjoyed their runs around the circuit here at Paul Ricard. So you can only see this GT Sports Club growing and growing for bronze category drivers, and with the special class for the Iron Cup class for those age 16 above. That's an extra target to aim for. Lots of shrugging and congratulation down there. Martin Lanting in the thick of all of it. So a little short walk up to the podium will be coming soon. And there is Stefano Pizzucchi in the foreground. The class a cut above the others in both the races today and in the practice sessions, so the others have got to raise their game, see if they can challenge the Italian. But here's the finishing order. Stefano Pizzucchi winning by 20.8 seconds from Cedric Mézard, who in turn had 12 and a bit seconds in hand over the Iron Cup winner, Martin Lanting. Massimiliano Bianchi up to 4th place, Maurice Ritchie up to 5th. He had a real charge up through the order, passing the Porsches of Jürgen Hering in 6th, Roland Burville in 7th, and up from the tail of the grid, Mario Cordoni to gain 8th place, Patrick Van Glabica 9th, and 10th place in the number... it was Bobelic rather than... I beg your pardon, I've been saying it's Gabriel Balthazar, but it was Bobelic taking 10th place in the number 9 Ferrari. And as you can see, we had plenty of finishers, and Stefan Rattel, though, not among them. He appeared to pull off just towards the end. So the boss of SRO, very, very busy weekend, but he got 2 races out of it. So good to see. Here are the highlights. Look for the amazing move from the blue Porsche on the right-hand side of the screen. He's already jumped the white and green Porsche, couldn't jump the black and red one. So Jürgen Hering in the 56 Porsche had to drop back into 3rd place in the first corner, but he'd already gained 2 positions. And then we had the collision at a couple of cars in the middle of the pack. Luckily, they were cleared before our runners came round again. And Cedric Mézard in the number 8 Ferrari, really keeping Pizzucchi on his toes in the early laps of the race. But as the race went on, the advantage for the race leader extended and extended. Here's Mario Cordoni making very positive moves from the back of the grid, diving inside Claude-Yves Gosselin as he went wide in avoidance. Nico Pronk dived up the inside as well, said thank you very much in his McLaren. Now we know it's Bobelic, not Balthazar. We can see he was in the thick of the action and somewhere near the track on occasion in his charge up from the back of the grid. Picked his way through the back markers and round the back markers, and then continued his chase and picked off car after car as he worked his way up to the tail of the top 10. In fact, he finished 10th at the end. Jürgen Hering under huge pressure a lot of the race. He had that incredible start, but then Martin Lanting got closer, and then eventually dived up the inside, had the left-hand line into the chicane, did just enough braking to remain ahead of the blue Porsche, and then under acceleration, a better exit from the chicane, up into scene they went, and the move was completed. So up to third place for the man, the Iron Man at the head of the Iron Cup, and now Massimiliano Bianchi started to attack. And then Roland Bourvil had to be on his toes because the number 10 car with Maurice Ritchie just kept on attacking, and eventually not enough grip left, went wide at Dubuisset, and Ritchie nipped through and would end up in 5th place overall. But no one had an answer to this man, Stefano Pizzucchi. Here he comes to take the checkered flag. He won the qualifying race this morning, and he dominated the feature race this afternoon. So great results, and the drivers will be now approaching the podium to earn the plaudits at the end of a fantastic race for the GT Sports Club. So 3rd place and up to the podium. Well, 3rd place will do for him. It was 4th this morning, but our Iron Cup winner, 3rd overall, so Martin Lanting. What a great day he's had at Paul Ricard. And breathe out. There is a man who clearly relishes his racing. Cédric Mézard congratulates him, but will be stepping back off the top step to the 2nd step. There onto the top step, bringing his family with him, and why not? Stefano Pizzucchi, victor this afternoon, and by quite some margin. National anthems.
Merci à la régie, applaudissements chers amis, mesdames et messieurs, Podium donc récompensé des mains de Mario Casca, coordinateur du
So Martin Lanting knows this is his first visit this afternoon to the podium. He'll be back on the top step when they have the Iron Cup ceremony shortly, but there, a 3rd place trophy for the AF Corsa racer. He's really enjoyed his afternoon, had to work for that. Cédric Mézard kept our race winner honest in the early laps, but then was left to race on his own for Scuderia Viorba course, and the biggest trophy to the man who collected one this morning. In fact, it's not for him, it's for his son, who eventually relinquished it. But Stefano Pizzucchi, what a time he's had here at Paul Ricard in the GT Sports Club. A win this morning and a big win this afternoon for the Porsche driver. Krypton Motorsport will be delighted as well. Prepare clearly a very, very quick Porsche for him there. And quickest off the mark was the first man to get the bottle, Martin Lanting. Loving his racing. Stefano will definitely be taking that suit to the dry cleaners as Cédric Mézard gives he and his children, look at the spray all over the hat of the sun. So those are our top 3 finishers in the GT Sports Club. Leave the podium now. One of them, of course, won't be away for long because we'll be welcoming Martin Lanting back to the podium any moment soon as we have the podium for the Iron Cup competitors. These are the drivers aged 60 and above. So we will welcome any moment now another driver from AF Corsa. 3rd place in class, it should be Louis-Philippe Sonnen, who had a very strong race in the 53 Ferrari. Just waiting for him to be called up onto the podium. A long preamble for this, the final podium of what's been an incredibly packed weekend of activities here at Paul Ricard. So this is for the Iron Cup competitors, the last set of trophies being prepared for them, the last set of champagne bottles. And Mark Sword coming up there. In fact, I wasn't expecting him. I thought he came 4th in class overall. So let us see. There is Mark Sword. Martin Lanting coming back. And Louis-Philippe Sonnen on the 2nd step. So So on the top step, Martin Lanting, third overall and winner of the Iron Cup. Louis-Philippe Sonnen, 13th on the track. He's second in the Iron Cup. And Marc Sword, Audi racer, got his trophy there, is third in the Iron Cup, 14th place overall. And holding his arms out wide for the biggest trophy of all, man who's had a fantastic day here in the GT Sports Club, Martin Lanting, trophy held high. I think at the end of this year we're going to have to build quite a big trophy cabinet in the Lanting household. Clearly on very, very strong form in the Iron Cup and just super fast with opening the bottles. He practiced on the main podium. And Martin Lanting on the top step. Louis-Philippe Sonnen letting rip from the other side. That's two AF Corsa runners. And then Santalok Racing's Marc Sword, third place and 14th place overall, third place in the Iron Cup. So our podium ceremonies complete. Martin Lanting taking 2 trophies home from this afternoon's race. Third overall, and here, the one for winning the Iron Cup. And now, finally, he can sit down. So GT Sports Club, what a great event that was for us. Victory there, as he did this morning, goes to the 35 Porsche, Stefano Pizzucchi and Krypton Motorsport. The gentlemen racers had a fabulous time at a brilliant circuit here at the Circuit Paul Ricard.